On a bright summer morning at Buckingham Palace, a small crowd gathered for the ceremonial changing of the guard. This daily ritual had drawn tourists, photographers, and curious onlookers. Standing close by were Kate Middleton and Princess Charlotte, quietly enjoying the time-honored display. No one expected a single mishap to transform the day into an unforgettable event. But that's exactly what happened when a royal guard lost his iconic bearskin hat. In a flash, mother and daughter raced forward, and their spontaneous, heartfelt act soon became a worldwide sensation. Setting the stage, Buckingham Palace is synonymous with elegance, history, and pageantry, an iconic British landmark that draws people from all corners of the globe. On this particular morning, the sun was shining, and the air held a festive buzz. Tourists lined up behind designated ropes, cameras in hand, waiting for the daily changing of the guard. At one side of the courtyard, Kate Middleton and Princess Charlotte stood in matching light dresses, discreetly accompanied by a small security detail. Though Charlotte was still young, she had grown used to palace life and official duties. Yet she never lost her curiosity. Whenever she had the chance, she enjoyed gazing at the uniformed guards, marveling at their disciplined stances and striking attire. Indeed, the Queen's guards wore bright red jackets, polished black shoes, and of course, the breathtaking bearskin hats that towered above them. As the official ceremony began, the stirring sound of the military band echoed across the wide courtyard. Tall black boots snapped against the stone ground in unison. Even though it was choreographed, there remained a certain magic, an energy that blended tradition with artistry. Kate took note of a slight breeze that teased at her hair. She glanced at the rows of guards, making sure everything looked normal. She'd attended countless changing of the guard ceremonies, but she always appreciated the unwavering discipline these men exhibited. Their stoic expressions, the careful arrangement of their uniforms, and their measured steps all symbolized centuries of royal tradition. The crowd, too, was enthralled by the precision. Cameras clicked constantly. Parents lifted children onto their shoulders so they could see above the throng. Friends joked and pointed, while tour guides whispered bits of English history to their groups. The swirl of people and conversation only seemed to add to the ceremony's sense of regality. Right at the heart of this well-rehearsed event, the guard to the left edge of the formation was poised in perfect stillness. The fur of his bearskin hat gleamed under the sun's rays. In the next moment, though, the routine spectacle became unexpectedly real. A sudden gust of wind swept across the courtyard, powerful enough to flutter the flags overhead. That's when it happened. The guard's imposing hat slipped precariously to one side. Amused murmurs arose from those who noticed, but the guard tried to remain composed, desperate to right his hat without causing a disturbance. The more he attempted to correct its position, the more the hat slid askew. In a matter of seconds, almost in slow motion, the bearskin toppled from his head and landed with a gentle thud at his feet. The mishap. The impact of the guard's hat hitting the ground was subtle. No loud crash or dramatic noise, yet it carried an enormous ripple effect. People who had gathered near the front row of spectators immediately pointed, some whispering in surprise, others smiling in sympathy. Phones were lifted to snap pictures, and a few bystanders held their breath, unsure of what the guard would do next. At first, it seemed like the guard might simply bend down and retrieve his fallen bearskin. But palace protocol can be strict. Guards are trained to keep their composure, no matter what happens. He stared down at the tall black hat lying just inches away. For a moment, he didn't move, hoping a superior might handle the situation or that someone else would discreetly return the hat to him. Meanwhile, a hush fell over that section of the crowd. Traditional ceremony gave way to a personal, human moment. People realized they were witnessing an unplanned slip in a place where everything usually runs like clockwork. Even the band playing in the background couldn't distract from this minor drama. Standing off to the side, Kate Middleton noticed the situation quickly. She nudged Charlotte gently. The little princess craned her neck to see what had happened. Spotting the guard's lost hat, Charlotte's eyes widened in mild shock. She understood that guards rarely move out of formation, but also recognized that the poor man was in a predicament. At that exact moment, the guard bent slightly as though to grab the hat, yet he hesitated, standing back at attention. One of his fellow guards slowly stepped forward, but protocol seemed to keep him from assisting too much during the official routine. Time seemed to stretch in that awkward pause. Finally, Kate decided to step forward. Charlotte, following her mother's cue, reached out a small hand. Together, they moved to the low barrier that separated them from the courtyard. A staffer glanced at Kate, uncertain whether to intervene. But the Duchess of Cambridge had made up her mind. This was a simple act of kindness. In just a few steps, mother and daughter approached the guard, who looked visibly relieved. All around them, cameras began to flash more rapidly. Tourists realized something remarkable was about to happen. An unscripted, heartwarming moment involving the royals. Kate and Charlotte's reaction. As Kate arrived by the guard's side, she offered a kind smile. She understood that even a small deviation from the ceremony could be nerve-wracking for someone in service. She gently reassured him in a soft voice. "It's all right. You're doing well." Then, she stooped to pick up the fallen bearskin hat. The guard remained at attention, arms locked tight at his sides, though a hint of gratitude shone in his eyes. Princess Charlotte joined her mother, eyes fixed on the large hat. A wave of fascination seemed to pass over her as she studied it up close. The bearskin almost dwarfed her, and she had to handle it carefully to keep the fluffy material from brushing against the ground again. To her, it felt like entering a storybook scene, helping a royal guard in the middle of a centuries-old tradition. Kate, holding the hat, could see a faint flush of embarrassment on the guard's face. She spoke quietly, gesturing for him to lean slightly forward so she could place it back on his head without forcing him to break formation. He obliged, bowing just enough, and Kate positioned the hat carefully until it balanced perfectly on his crown once more. The small crowd erupted into murmured applause and approving laughs, relieved that the moment ended in kindness rather than tension. Charlotte broke into a tiny grin, her cheeks bright with excitement. This felt like a grand adventure to her, being able to help in a real-life situation, right there in Buckingham Palace's courtyard. She whispered something to Kate, possibly checking that they were all set, and Kate gave a gentle nod. With that, mother and daughter stepped back. The guard, still stoic out of duty, gave the subtlest nod of acknowledgement. Though guards rarely break their posture, the gratitude in his eyes said it all. Kate and Charlotte had taken a potential moment of humiliation for him and transformed it into an act of shared goodwill. The crowd's response and social media buzz. Right after Kate and Charlotte stepped away, a ripple of conversation passed through the bystanders. A middle-aged man in a baseball cap, clearly an American tourist, turned to his wife and exclaimed, "Did you see that? Kate just picked up his hat." Another visitor, phone raised high, shouted, "I got it on video!" Within seconds, pictures and videos were being shared across the globe, accompanied by captions such as "Royal Hat Rescue" or "Sweetest Moment at Buckingham Palace." On platforms like Instagram and Twitter, hashtags popped up: "Kate to the rescue," "Royal Guard hat," and "Princess Charlotte." The content spread like wildfire. Media outlets that specialized in royal coverage picked it up, praising the Duchess's and Princess's thoughtfulness. Morning talk shows replayed the clip with commentators describing how refreshing it was to see a moment of genuine compassion in a setting usually defined by tradition and protocol. What fueled the viral nature of this event was its simplicity. People love authenticity, especially from public figures. The internet lit up with comments, some saying they felt warmth from the small gesture, while others noted how it humanized both the guard and the royals. A user posted, "You can see how kind they are in that instant. No second thoughts. Just help." By early afternoon, major newspapers published short articles about the hat rescue. International headlines included phrases like, "Princess Charlotte joins Kate Middleton in adorable act," or "Mother-daughter duo saves the day at the palace." Internet memes also began circulating, featuring playful takes like the guard's hat superimposed in random comedic scenarios, referencing how quickly it fell and how swiftly the royals responded. Meanwhile, back at the palace, staff members watched as the global reaction ballooned to enormous proportions. For them, it was touching yet unsurprising. Kate had always been known for her empathy, and Charlotte was growing up with that same sense of compassion. Palace officials chose not to make a formal statement beyond a short comment acknowledging what happened. but they smiled at the world's enthusiastic response. The guard's perspective. A few days later, reporters managed to learn more about the guard. In a rare off-duty moment, he shared his side of the story with discreet humility. He confessed that the sudden gust of wind had caught him off guard, no pun intended, and that he'd tried to remain composed. In his training, he was taught that if something happens, he should stay in formation until instructed otherwise. However, seeing his hat roll away in front of hundreds of eyes turned the moment into a quiet personal crisis. He admitted feeling a surge of embarrassment when he realized how exposed he was. Guards pride themselves on their ability to maintain discipline, and dropping a piece of uniform felt like a personal failure. Then, in the midst of that swirling anxiety, he saw the Duchess of Cambridge and Princess Charlotte approaching with gentle smiles. He said that from his vantage point, it was like witnessing a wave of reassurance. When Kate picked up the hat, his first thought was gratitude. Gratitude that he wouldn't have to awkwardly break formation or fumble for it himself. Her warm expression and Charlotte's bright-eyed curiosity calmed his nerves. He struggled not to break protocol by speaking, but he managed a soft, "Thank you, ma'am," though it was barely audible to the surrounding crowd. The heartwarming aftermath. As the viral videos continued circulating online, it became clear this story was about more than a bearskin hat. It shone light on the idea that small deeds can have a broad-reaching impact. People from different countries and backgrounds shared the clip, leaving comments on how the moment reminded them to lend a helping hand whenever they could. Stories poured in of bystanders who had witnessed the event firsthand. One woman posted on a travel blog that seeing Kate and Charlotte help the guard reinforced her belief in the human side of public figures. Another visitor, a retired teacher, wrote that it reaffirmed her faith that even in formal ceremonies, people's genuine concern can come through. Back at Buckingham Palace, the guard remained on duty, proudly standing alongside his peers. He still wore his tall bearskin with renewed caution, more mindful of the wind. Though some teased him for famous hat troubles, no one doubted his dedication. They understood the unique pressures of performing in front of global audiences every day. The royal family, meanwhile, carried on with their schedule. Kate Middleton attended charitable events and continued her role as patron to various organizations. Princess Charlotte returned to her usual routines: school, family time, and the occasional public appearance. Though neither spoke publicly about the hat rescue, those close to them noticed a small sense of pride in Charlotte, as she'd been part of a moment that drew widespread admiration.
That Diana, Princess of Wales, who was injured in that accident you've just seen pictured of, has actually died.
The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon.
The story of King Charles and Princess Diana was once seen as a fairy tale romance, but behind palace doors, it was a whirlwind of heartbreak and betrayal. For years, hidden secrets and scandals shaped their rocky marriage, leaving Diana struggling to find love and support.
Charles has great delivery. I mean, he's practically like a Shakespearean actor.
What really happened between them? This shocking betrayal changed the royal family forever, and it's finally coming to light. Emotional distance. Emotional distance isn't just a relationship challenge. It's a silent betrayal that can cut deeper than words. In the case of King Charles and Princess Diana, their royal marriage was the perfect picture on the outside. But behind the palace walls, emotional distance was tearing them apart. Diana and Charles entered their marriage with high hopes and public adoration, yet they quickly found themselves on separate emotional wavelengths. Diana's vibrant personality and emotional openness clashed with Charles's reserved and duty-driven demeanor. While Diana longed for love, support, and genuine connection, Charles seemed to retreat into his own world, one that included Camilla Parker Bowles. The emotional distance between the couple grew, as Diana felt increasingly isolated. Despite her efforts to connect with Charles, his affection often appeared elsewhere. The betrayal wasn't just about infidelity, it was about the emotional neglect Diana endured while she fought to keep their marriage alive. Charles's inability, or unwillingness to meet her emotional needs, became a wound that never healed. For Diana, this distance wasn't just heartbreaking, it was soul-crushing. Her struggles with bulimia and feelings of worthlessness were amplified by the coldness of her relationship. She later admitted to seeking connection elsewhere, a response to the loneliness she felt within her marriage. What makes this story resonate even today is how relatable it is. Emotional distance isn't confined to royal relationships. Many people have experienced the pain of being in a partnership where they feel unseen, unheard, and unimportant. In Diana's case, her courage to speak out and share her truth shone a light on the emotional battles many people face behind closed doors. Charles's secret betrayal wasn't just his affair. It was the choice to emotionally distance himself from the woman who had once dreamed of building a life with him. The story of Charles and Diana isn't just a royal scandal. It's a reminder that emotional connection is the foundation of any relationship. When that connection is lost, the cracks are impossible to ignore. Camilla Parker Bowles. Affair. Behind the grandeur of the royal family, there's a story that shook the world. The affair between King Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles, a betrayal that left Princess Diana heartbroken. Their love triangle wasn't just a royal scandal, it was a devastating chapter in a marriage that was already on shaky ground. From the start, Diana sensed that Camilla was more than just an old friend of Charles. Despite their lavish wedding and the world's attention, Diana often felt like the third wheel in her own marriage. The emotional distance between her and Charles grew, fueled by his unwavering connection to Camilla. The secret affair wasn't just whispers in palace hallways, it was an open secret in royal circles. Diana eventually confronted Camilla at a party, bravely saying, "I know what's going on between you and Charles." Camilla's response? A dismissive retort that only deepened Diana's anguish. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was the emotional bond between Charles and Camilla that left Diana feeling isolated and unloved. Charles's affair with Camilla wasn't just a blow to Diana, it was a seismic event for the monarchy. The revelation of their relationship, combined with Diana's candid interviews, shattered the fairy tale image of the royal couple. Diana's now famous words, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," became a defining moment in their story. What made the betrayal even harder to digest was the perception that Charles had never truly let go of Camilla. For Diana, this wasn't just about losing her husband's love. It was about never truly having it in the first place. The Camilla affair remains a controversial chapter in royal history, but it also serves as a stark reminder of the cost of emotional neglect and betrayal. Diana's pain and bravery in the face of this betrayal left a lasting legacy, one that continues to captivate the world. Diana's confrontation. The royal marriage that once seemed like a fairy tale turned into one of the most heartbreaking and scandalous sagas in history. Princess Diana, known for her grace and charm, was blindsided by the betrayal of her husband, Prince Charles. But what happened when Diana finally confronted the woman at the center of it all? Camilla Parker Bowles? The dramatic moment is something the world never forgot. In the late 1980s, Diana's suspicions about Charles and Camilla's ongoing affair reached a boiling point. The emotional distance between Diana and Charles had grown too wide to ignore, and the rumors about their relationship were swirling in the media. But what could Diana do? The pain of knowing her husband was in love with someone else became unbearable, and Diana decided to take matters into her own hands. The infamous confrontation took place during a birthday party for Camilla's sister, Annabelle Elliott, and it was nothing short of explosive. Diana, her heart heavy with anger and sorrow, looked directly at Camilla and said, "I know what's going on between you and Charles." The tension in the room was palpable, and Diana's voice echoed with the rawness of her pain. Camilla's response was cold, dismissive, and utterly callous. She said, "You've got everything you ever wanted. A handsome husband, 2 beautiful children. What more could you want?" Diana's simple yet devastating reply left everyone stunned. "I want my husband." The conversation laid bare the emotional turmoil that had been eating away at Diana. The betrayal wasn't just about the affair, it was about her unfulfilled yearning for a connection with Charles. But that connection had long been lost. Diana's confrontation with Camilla revealed just how far Charles's emotional neglect had gone. It also revealed how powerless Diana felt in her own marriage, even as the world watched her every move. Her bravery in confronting the woman who had stolen her husband's heart only made the betrayal more poignant. This moment of truth would go on to shape Diana's legacy, forever remembered as a symbol of strength, courage, and heartbreak. Public confessions. The royal family's dirty laundry was never meant to be aired in public. But when Prince Charles and Princess Diana's troubled marriage started unraveling, the world was forced to watch every heart-wrenching detail unfold. The most shocking part? Both Charles and Diana made public confessions that revealed just how deep the betrayal ran. In 1994, Prince Charles shocked the world by admitting in an interview with Jonathan Dimbleby that he had indeed been unfaithful to Diana. In his own words, he admitted the affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, acknowledging that his marriage to Diana had irretrievably broken down. This was an unprecedented moment of honesty, especially from a royal figure, and it sent waves of shock through the public. For years, the rumors had swirled, but hearing Charles admit his betrayal publicly left no room for doubt. But the shock didn't end there. A year later, Princess Diana took to the BBC's Panorama interview to reveal her side of the story. In a candid and emotional confession, Diana spoke openly about her unhappiness within the royal family, her struggles with bulimia, and the emotional toll the marriage had taken on her. She even confessed to her own infidelity, admitting she had sought comfort outside her marriage after years of emotional neglect. One of the most memorable moments in her interview was her comment about the three of us in the marriage, referring to Camilla's ongoing relationship with Charles. Her words echoed the pain she had felt for years, having been pushed to the sidelines of her own marriage, while Camilla was always at the center of her husband's heart. These public confessions were a rare and shocking glimpse into the deeply troubled relationship between Charles and Diana. They painted a picture of two people trapped in a loveless marriage, each desperately seeking solace elsewhere. The revelations not only shattered the illusion of royal perfection, but also revealed just how far emotional neglect and betrayal can go, even within the walls of Buckingham Palace. Diana's struggles for years. Princess Diana was the picture of grace, beauty, and charm, always smiling in front of the cameras, a true people's princess. But behind that captivating smile, Diana was silently battling a storm of emotional struggles. The betrayal by Prince Charles and the constant heartbreak of his affair with Camilla Parker Bowles became an unspoken burden that weighed heavily on her. Diana's life within the royal family was far from the fairy tale many believed it to be. She found herself in a loveless marriage where her husband, Prince Charles, seemed emotionally distant. As the public continued to adore them as a perfect couple, Diana was left grappling with feelings of loneliness, inadequacy, and pain. Her constant battle with emotional neglect pushed her into a deep spiral, and it wasn't long before her struggles with bulimia and self-harm became part of her personal reality. But the most agonizing part? Prince Charles's affair with Camilla. Diana had always suspected something was wrong, and her worst fears were confirmed when the affair became public knowledge. While the world admired Diana for her grace, few could understand the profound hurt she felt in her personal life. She was fighting not only for her marriage, but for her own self-worth. Diana even admitted in interviews that her relationship with Charles was a bit crowded, a cryptic but clear reference to Camilla's constant presence in their lives. Diana's confession of her struggles was a turning point in her life. In her explosive interview with the BBC in 1995, she didn't hold back. Diana shared the truth about her pain, her fight with bulimia, and even her emotional breakdowns. Her courage to speak out, to expose the truth, was a pivotal moment in her life. But despite everything, Diana always longed for one thing: love and affection from her husband, something Charles never fully gave her. Diana's heartbreaking story is one of silent strength, the battle for love, and the pain of betrayal. Her struggles remain a poignant reminder of the human side of royalty and the cost of emotional neglect. Media scrutiny. Princess Diana's life was constantly under the watchful eye of the media, but the scrutiny she faced went beyond mere headlines. It was relentless, invasive, and at times downright cruel. As her marriage with Prince Charles unraveled, the media played a huge role in exposing the secrets that the royal family tried so hard to keep hidden. But what many didn't realize was that the public's obsession with their troubled marriage only made things worse for Diana, especially when Charles's secret betrayal was finally laid bare. For years, Diana had been painted as the innocent, wronged party in her marriage to Charles. But the truth of her suffering went far deeper than the media could ever understand. As the press began to catch wind of Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, the tabloids and gossip columns were quick to sensationalize every detail. The media didn't just report the facts. They took pleasure in adding their own twists, often portraying Diana as a broken woman. Every move she made was scrutinized, every tear she shed dissected. But it wasn't just Diana who was affected. The public's fascination with her pain spilled over into the royal family, and suddenly, Charles's betrayal was a matter of public interest. The media did not hold back in exposing the affair and the emotional turmoil that came with it. They painted Charles as a man who had failed his wife and his country, and painted Diana as the victim, a woman deserving of sympathy and support. While the public followed every twist and turn of the royal drama, the media failed to recognize the emotional toll this constant scrutiny had on Diana. She was not just a princess or a symbol of hope for the British people. She was a human being, struggling in ways that no headline could fully capture. The media's relentless coverage of Diana's marriage and Charles's secret betrayal finally forced the truth into the open. but it also led to an invasion of her privacy that would haunt her for the rest of her life. In the end, while the public may have been captivated by the royal drama, Diana's personal pain was far more complex than the tabloids could ever portray. Queen Elizabeth's intervention. The royal family has always prided itself on maintaining a strong, united front, but the cracks in Prince Charles and Princess Diana's marriage were becoming impossible to ignore. While the world watched their relationship fall apart behind the scenes, Queen Elizabeth II was quietly stepping in to restore order and bring an end to the chaos. Her intervention, though discreet, would prove to be a game-changer in the scandal that rocked the monarchy. For years, Queen Elizabeth had remained relatively silent about her son's marriage woes. However, as public interest in the royal drama grew, and Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles was exposed for the world to see, the Queen could no longer stay on the sidelines. Despite her usual preference for privacy, Queen Elizabeth's role in the royal family meant she had to act, especially when it came to preserving the dignity and image of the monarchy. In 1995, the situation reached a boiling point. Charles had publicly admitted to his infidelity during an explosive interview, and the marriage was beyond saving. That's when the Queen decided to take a bold step. According to reports, she wrote a personal letter to Diana.
And he, Lord Mountbatten was probably the closest person to him, and Diana said to him, "You look so sad,"
urging her to grant an early divorce from Charles. This letter was not just an official royal request. It was a motherly plea for Diana to help bring closure to the marriage. Queen Elizabeth's intervention was carefully worded, emphasizing that it was in the best interest of the country and the royal family. She even signed the letter with "Love from Mama," a gesture that showed her genuine concern for Diana's well-being. While it was clear the Queen wanted to protect the family's image, the letter also showed her emotional understanding of the situation. By stepping in, Queen Elizabeth sought to end the public spectacle and bring peace to the fractured royal family.
To marry into the royal family and to become a future queen.
Her intervention helped pave the way for the eventual divorce between Charles and Diana in 1996. However, the betrayal Charles had inflicted on Diana would never be forgotten, and the royal family's efforts to restore their reputation were ultimately overshadowed by the lasting emotional damage caused by the affair. Divorce and aftermath. The divorce between Prince Charles and Princess Diana was not just the end of a marriage, it was the dramatic conclusion to years of tension, public humiliation, and heartbreak. After the media frenzy and public revelations about Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, the royal couple finally called it quits in 1996. But the aftermath was far from a simple split. The impact of their divorce rippled through the royal family, the public, and even the press. For Princess Diana, the divorce marked a new chapter in her life. Despite the heartache, she handled the situation with a resilience that made her an even more beloved figure. However, the scars of her marriage were deep. Diana's struggles with self-esteem, mental health, and public image continued long after the legal documents were signed. Her need for love and affection, which had been ignored during her marriage, left her searching for solace in other relationships. Prince Charles, on the other hand, seemed to breathe a sigh of relief after the divorce. He was now free to pursue his relationship with Camilla openly, something that had been hidden for years. Despite the relief, his actions didn't come without consequence. The royal family was under scrutiny more than ever, as the public's trust in the monarchy began to wane. What followed was a bittersweet phase for both Charles and Diana. The divorce, while offering a sense of freedom, didn't mend the emotional wounds that had been inflicted over years of betrayal and emotional distance. The royal family's attempts to appear unified couldn't mask the rift that had grown. Despite the personal and public battles, both Charles and Diana carried the emotional weight of their broken marriage. In the end, Charles and Diana's divorce was a turning point for the monarchy, exposing hidden betrayals and pushing the royal family into a new era of scrutiny and transparency. Their story may have ended legally, but the emotional consequences of their troubled union lingered long after. Charles's tribute. After years of public scrutiny, betrayal, and a bitter divorce, King Charles's tribute to Princess Diana at her funeral took everyone by surprise. His unexpected gesture spoke volumes about their complicated relationship and left the world questioning what truly lay beneath the surface of their tumultuous marriage. The relationship between Charles and Diana was far from perfect, filled with emotional distance, infidelity, and heartbreak. Yet, despite all the drama and the affairs, including his well-known love for Camilla Parker Bowles. Charles's tribute to Diana at her funeral gave a glimpse of a deeper connection. While much of their marriage had been marked by tension and separations, his final act of respect suggested that he still held a certain regard for the woman who had been by his side for so many years. At Diana's funeral, Charles made a quiet but powerful statement by choosing to wear a navy suit instead of the traditional black mourning attire. To many, this might have seemed like a simple wardrobe choice. However, it had much more significance. Diana had always loved seeing Charles in navy, and this tribute, though subtle, was a poignant nod to their shared history. Was this Charles's way of showing that, despite all the pain and betrayal, he had a deep respect for Diana's legacy? Some royal watchers believed it was his way of acknowledging the tumultuous years of their marriage, filled with love, loss, and ultimately, profound sadness. Others speculated that it was an attempt to make amends for the betrayals that had stained their relationship over the years, offering a final, personal tribute to the woman who had once been the love of his life. Charles's tribute to Diana raised many questions, leaving the public wondering if there were feelings and regrets that he had never fully expressed during their marriage. While his actions couldn't undo the past, they did offer a glimpse of the complex emotions he may have carried for the rest of his life. Diana's legacy. Princess Diana's legacy continues to shape the world. Even long after her tragic death, her story was one of immense love, devastating betrayal, and unimaginable strength. But behind her iconic public image, there lay a deeply personal story that was often overshadowed by the royal family's secrecy and the scandals surrounding her marriage to Prince Charles. The world watched in disbelief as Diana's marriage to Charles crumbled under the weight of emotional distance, public scrutiny, and Charles's enduring relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. While Charles's betrayal was widely known, Diana's resilience and unwavering spirit were what truly defined her. But what often gets overlooked in the shadows of these betrayals is how Diana's impact still ripples through the royal family and beyond. Even after the divorce, Diana's influence remained powerful, especially on her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. Diana's advocacy for causes like HIV/AIDS awareness, her work with landmine victims, and her campaign for mental health awareness changed the way the world viewed royalty. She gave voice to the voiceless and used her platform for good, making her the people's princess in every sense of the word. Charles's betrayal of Diana was deeply damaging, not just to their relationship, but also to the monarchy's image. Yet, her legacy outshone the controversies that defined much of her marriage. Her charitable work, her warmth, and her relatability connected her with people worldwide, unlike any royal before her. In the aftermath of her death, Charles's tribute at her funeral and his decision to wear navy instead of traditional mourning black sent a signal to the world that there was more to their relationship than what had been publicly revealed. It was as if Charles was finally recognizing the woman Diana had been, and the profound effect she had on his life. Diana's legacy lives on not just in the charity work she championed, but in the lives of her children and in the hearts of millions who still remember her with love.